Hey guys, want to come at you with one more key to success to help you take your business to the whole new level for your fast start and beyond, and that is crushing recommendations. And I'm a big proponent of the recommendation program. It's one of the skills that our people learn here at Vector and Cutco that are transferable to any and all endeavors they go on to leaving Cutco. It's a skill that if you can get good at it, man, it makes you a valued commodity in any industry that you're in, because it means that not only are you taking care of your clients, but that you're able to build a network. And so the first and foremost, I want to let you know that if your manager has given you the position, if they've taken the time to train you, if you're part of our organization, you really ought to, deserve, and are capable of averaging 10 recommendations per appointment. And the only thing that would stop you from being able to do that is either you're a sketchball, which I doubt your manager would have given you the job if you're a sketchball. You're not confident when you ask, or you're not asking the right way. So the reasons why people give recommendations: number one, they love the product. Number two, they have a fun experience with you. And again, number three, you ask the right way. So let's make sure that when doing your presentations that we're covering all our bases. So to make sure that they love the product, you got to make sure you're cutting food, doing the presentation the right way, following the manual. If you do that, they're going to love the product. Cut the penny, cut the leather, cut the rope, cut up food on the presentation. Customers are going to have fun. They're going to love the product. To make sure that they're connecting with you and that they're having fun with you, make sure that you're taking time at the beginning of the presentation to really get to know them. So take time getting to know them. Ask them about the keys areas of their life, right? The key areas of their life are their job, their neighborhood they live in, their family, their friends, their kids, family and friends, and their church or any other organizations that they're a part of. And so make sure as you're starting that presentation, you're really connecting with them at the beginning of the presentation to get to know them. Because if they could tell that you really care about them and getting to know them, they're going to be a lot more excited about helping you with recommendations and getting to know you. So connect with them. Connect on the big five. Think about it. If you just got two of their neighbors, two of the people from church, two of their coworkers, two of their husbands' coworkers, two of their kids' friends' parents, two of their brothers and sisters, I mean, you're at 12 to 14 recommendations. Now, I know some people don't have some of those categories. That just means if you get a few more from some of the other categories, you'll get to 10. So make sure at the beginning of the presentation, you're really spending time getting to know them, talking to them. Ask for neighborhoods, or ask them about neighborhoods that are on the way to their neighborhood. See if they know anybody that lives there, just in casual conversation. The more customers open up to you, the more recommendations you have to be able to suggest and ask for at the end. Okay. Also, making sure you really go off in the beginning, talking about why you're doing what you're doing. There's another video at the beginning called Objective Driven Demo that talks about that. But if your why is strong enough, they're going to be excited about helping you with it. Okay. Now let's transition into the actual ending when you're asking for recommendations. It's really important to make sure that you're asking with confidence. Okay, you got to ask with confidence when you're asking for recommendations. You can't just simply go through the motions. You got to ask with complete confidence, word for word, verbatim. Okay, ask just like it shows you there on page 11. And every sentence is in there for a reason. The reason it says, Michelle, how'd you like my demo? That's designed to tell them they like the product and they like you. The part where it says, great, go ahead and pull out your cell phone because there's one more very important part. Here's you can really help me out. That creates urgency. I get paid every time I show Cutco, but I can only show people I've been personally recommended to. Creates importance. So what I need you to do while I'm cleaning up is to jot down 10 to 15 people who might be nice enough to help me out. You got to ask for a specific number. If you don't, you'll get exactly what you ask for. If you ask for a couple, they're going to give you 2 to 3. If you ask for a few, they're going to give you like 3 or 4. So ask for exactly how many you want, which is 10 to 15. That next sentence, probably the most important one. I'm not looking for people you think would buy, just nice people like you willing to take a look. So what that does is that now makes it really easy for you to get those additional recommendations, okay? Because they know that they're not thinking of people that are purchasing, but just nice people in general. Okay. Here's a pen and paper. Put down as many as you can. Thanks so much for your help. I really appreciate it. The reason it's important you hand them the pen and paper so that it leads them into action. Okay. If you just say, hey, I got pen and paper, if you just go unprepared, they're probably not going to think of many. Okay. So after you hand them the pen and sheet of paper from the back of your blue book, the recommendation sheet, get busy polishing up your knife. Just kind of stay busy, stay distracted. Don't be staring at them, because if you stare at them, they'll think they're waiting on you. Okay. Another tip, while they're writing people down, if they get stuck, start throwing out thought joggers. I wouldn't throw out thought joggers until they kind of look up in the air. They're like, oh, I can't really think of anybody else. Then you start throwing out suggestions of people that they haven't thought of. So that would be things like, Ms. Jones, what about your neighbor Sally down the street that you mentioned her kids play with your kids, right? What about, little Anthony's soccer teammates? Go ahead and put some of those people down. Oh, what about some of Andrew's band members? I know you mentioned that he's in band at the high school. Well, go ahead and put down some of the people that he does band with, right? Or people from the marching band, right? You throw out the suggestions of people that they've already mentioned during the beginning of the presentation that they know and they hang out with. They can't tell you they don't know them if they already told you that that's who they hang out with. Okay, so you start throwing out those suggestions. The next key, guys, is this is a way for you to take your business to the next level. Start asking for areas of town you want to do appointments in. Start asking for people in professions that are aligned with what you're wanting to do later in life, or people that you know that do well. And start asking for neighbors or neighborhoods that you'd like to do appointments in. So be asking for exactly what you want. So for example, when I was a brand new representative, I was going to school for medicine at first, and so I said, Ms. Jones, as you know, I'm going to school for medicine, and I'm thinking about going to med school. Who do you know is a doctor or dentist or somebody in the medical field? I'd love to do an appointment with them and get their experience. They can start jotting people down. Ms. Jones, if you want to go into financial planning, Ms. Jones, as I mentioned, I want to be a financial planner. Who do you know that's a financial planner or is an accountant or works for a bank? I'd love to do an appointment with them and get their take. Right. And so as you start suggesting these groups, it adds additional layers. Here's another thing. Ms. Jones, as I mentioned, I'm looking to do appointments all over. Do you know anybody that happens to live in, Buckhead or, Vinings, or ask for areas of town, or even better, specific neighborhoods? Ms. Jones, who do you know that lives in? And then start throwing out country clubs that are in that local city. Don't ask for country clubs that is an hour away. Ask for country clubs that are in your local city. So, for example, in Suwannee, we have River Club, we have St. Marlowe, we have Bears Best, Edinburgh, right? Ask for people that live in that community so that way you can get appointments into those neighborhoods, okay? Then another great one, Ms. Jones, who do you know that has like a lake house or a beach house? Just because, quite honestly, I'd love to do an appointment with somebody where they could get multiple sets, right? But ask for areas that you want to go do appointments in, okay? The other thing that's important is, besides giving thought joggers and qualifying questions to get into areas, make sure that you know about the people that recommend you. They recommend you to. So here's things that I want to make sure I get from every recommendation or from every client about the recommendations. One, I want to make sure I know how to pronounce the names. There's nothing worse than not being able to pronounce a name or not being able to read a phone number. Number two, find wives' names. So if they write down a husband, always get the wife's name. Okay. Number three, what area of town they live in. Number four, okay, they're home during the day. Okay, just a little by their name if they're home during the day, because that allows you to get your daytime demos. And then the last thing that I want to make sure I know is, if they were me, which three people would they call first? Now, if you want to take it even higher, here's a couple of cool qualifying questions you can ask. Okay, so you say, hey, Ms. Jones, thanks so much for helping me out here. Hey, which of these people you think, if they wanted to, could get Cutco, if they wanted to? And then you put a star by their name. Which of these people, if they wanted to get like the whole book, man, I'd love to be able to, hit my weekly goal on one appointment. Okay, those two. Okay, perfect. And also last thing, thanks again for helping me out. If I was your son, which three people would you send me to first? And then those become like your stars. So then you get your double stars and eventually your triple stars, so that you're focusing your efforts later on down the road with only your best of your best. That's how you get into your neighborhoods or your areas of town that are like $1 million homes or $500,000 homes, people where every single person you're showing Cutco to can get the entire book if they wanted to. Okay, so use those qualifying questions. I want to spend a couple seconds now on talking about the texting program and handling recommendations, okay, or objections with recommendations. So the most common objections that you hear with customers that object when you're brand new are, I'll give them to you later, or I just don't like giving out people's names, okay, or I don't feel comfortable giving out people. Okay, so let me give you the two easiest ways to handle that. So if they say I don't feel comfortable giving out people's names, just blow it off. Say, oh, Miss Jones, I totally get it. If it were anybody else reaching out to them, I'd feel the same way. But Miss Jones, it's only going to be me, and I'm only going to, I'm only going to do the same thing I did with you. So I promise it'll just be me. So if there's any way you could jot these people down, it would really help me out. Okay, I'm not going to give them to my manager. I'm not going to give them to the office. It's just me reaching out. Okay. If they say leave the sheet with me to fill out, okay, this is another common one you get. And when you're new, you tend to believe your friends and family because you think they mean well, and they do mean well. But when you leave, they forget about it, and then they forget to do it. Okay. So here's what you say. You say, Ms. Jones, I totally appreciate you willing to help me out. In fact, I'll leave you a second sheet, but it is going to take me a few minutes to clean up. So is there any way you could jot down a few people for me now, and I can always get the rest from you later? Right. So then you jot down, because what you'll find is once they start writing a couple people down, they end up giving you as many as they were going to give you anyway. Yeah, if they're like, oh, I just really want to keep the sheet for a while, I want to fill up the whole sheet. It's like, well, the only problem with that, Ms. Jones, that means I'd have to make another trip to come back, or I'd have to call you and bother you to remind you. So if there's any way you could jot down a few now. Like I said, I'll leave you a second sheet, but this way it allows me to get a couple so I can continue working. And it would really help me out. Okay, so those are the two most common ones. If somebody says, I don't feel comfortable, that usually means that you didn't spend enough time at the beginning handling the objections beforehand. So make sure you're spending that time at the beginning of the presentation connecting more, so that way it's not a big deal. The other thing that can really help you out is creating a recommendation notebook. Okay, and a recommendation notebook is very simple. It's a 3-ring binder. On the front, you put your goals that you're shooting for. On the back, you put your sponsorship sheet, which is going to be page 10 in your manual. That's got all the sponsors and everybody that's given you 10. And then on the inside of that binder, what you're going to do is you're going to stack your recommendations hole punched with people that have given you 20 and 10 at the beginning. So that way, as you're flipping through to get to a clean page, it looks like everybody's given you 10. And see, the beauty behind doing this is nobody ever wants to be the first to do anything, and nobody wants to be the last. So if they see that everybody's giving you 10, it takes away that stigma and that weirdness that, oh, maybe people don't give you that many. Okay, it now becomes a very normal thing where everybody gives you 10. Okay, so set up your notebook in such a way where it's designed like that. And if anybody doesn't give you 10, either put them in the back of the notebook where nobody's going to see it, or combine them with another one, so that way it looks like everybody's giving you 10. But that goes a long way. If your mom has already given you a bunch, well, write them out on a sheet of paper, so that way that looks like 20 or 30 or however many she's given you. So that way, again, it gives that vibe that everybody gives you 10. And I know for me as a representative, that became a badge of honor. Every single person I showed Cutco to gave me 10. Even if they were writing down people that lived in another state, and I knew that I would never be able to go out there and do an appointment for them, I still had them write them down. What's beautiful now is with our online presentation, our virtual demo, you can have them write down those people and do online appointments with them. Okay, so make that recommendation notebook. It'll help you a ton. The last tip I'm going to give you for crushing recommendations is to give an appropriate text message heads up. Okay, your managers have the message, and they can send you the message to send to your customers. But you want it typed out in your phone, so that way after they recommend you to everybody, you just simply copy it, paste it, send it to them. Just say, Ms. Jones, I'm going to send you a text. If you wouldn't mind giving these people just a quick text message heads up, just send it out to them. Just let them know I'll be giving them a call. The basics that you want to have in the approach is that, that you're, they just did an appointment with you, and that you're working your way through school, or you're doing, you're helping to support your family by showing Cutco, and they don't have to buy anything. You get paid just to show it, and it would really help out if they would just hear you out. Okay, and that basically just giving them a heads up that you're going to be reaching out. Less is more. This is not the time for them to brag about how awesome Cutco is and how much they should get and how expensive it is or anything like that. It's just, hey, this nice student came over. Hey, this I just met with this nice young man or nice young woman named blank, and she's working this fall by showing Cutco, working this summer by showing Cutco. They don't have to buy anything; you get paid just to do it. You figure they'd be nice enough to help out and listen. So, so that's the approach that you want to use, and you want to send that text out with the customer after they've given you everybody. You don't want to give them the text message before they start writing people down, because you don't want them overthinking it. You want them to give you everybody first. Get them to 20, get them to 30, get them to 50. Use that sponsor program. Every 10 counts as another sponsor. Use the peeler. If they get you 20, they get a free peeler. Every 10 above that counts as another entry for your sponsorship program. But stress that, get all those first, and then use the text message as that backup. So again, as a reminder, make sure you set it up appropriately by building a ton of rapport at the beginning of the presentation. Make sure you do a great presentation so that way they love the product. Ask with confidence when you ask for recommendations. Throw out thought joggers if people are getting stuck. Make sure to stress the sponsorship program as a way to get you additional benchmarks. Every 10 is a benchmark. And then use the text message heads up to make your life a lot easier later on when you start calling these recommendations. So hope those tips help for you. Let's use this to help you average 10 recommendations.